Now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to do another Dice Tower preview. Today's preview is going to be of a speed-based card game with a zombie theme. We're going to take a look at Zombie House Blitz, which is basically just a bunch of decks of cards, specialized decks of cards that you're going to be using in order to try and get your survivors out into the cars before the other players, or more survivors out than the other players, as fast as possible. And whoever does this the best is going to score the most points. So real quick, we'll take a look at what you get inside of this game. And remember, these are prototype quality cards. These are not the final cards, but will probably look somewhat like what the final product is going to be. But we'll see what you get and how the game plays, and then we'll come back here and we'll sum it all up for you. So here you can see the components for Zombie House Blitz. Now you'll see that there are 4 decks of cards here. Each player is going to get their own deck. Inside of these decks are going to be several different types of cards. You can see that we have both red and blue survivors. Now there's going to be a 1 through a 6 in each of these colors, but there's also going to be 2 different suits in each color. You'll see that there are cleavers in red, as well as hearts in red, and you can see that there are skulls and bones in blue, and there's a 1 through 6 in each of those. Now, in addition to that, you're going to see that there are several other types of cards that aren't survivors. We have zombies, of course, Zombie House Blitz, we have cars, and then we're also going to have shotguns, which look like this, and they say hold, shoot, discard on them. So now that you see that everybody has their own deck, why don't we separate them aside and I'll show you what these decks are for. So to set up the game, what you're going to do first is separate out all of the special cards, the cars, the guns, and the zombies, and you're going to shuffle all of the survivors together and make a stack of 10 face-down cards that are going to go right here. And this is called the house. In addition, you're going to have these 3 different escape routes, which are going to be piles of cards that you're trying to play on, much like in solitaire. So you'll see here I have the 6 blue skull, the 5 red heart, and the 1 blue bone. Now, in order to further the game, you're going to be playing much like solitaire. You're going to have this stack here with a face-up card on it, and you're going to have your deck of cards from which you're going to flip 3 cards when you need to flip more. So for example, you'd look here and you see, okay, can I move any of these cards around? And you're going to try and stack them down from the number 6 to the number 1 in order. So you'll see I have a 6 here, and I have to alternate suits, so I need to go 6 to 5 color-wise. So now that I put this on top of here, that works well. I've got a 6 and then a 5, and if I had a blue 4, I could put that on there, but I don't. So this is basically as far as I can go, unless I want to move a 1 into this position, which I probably don't want to do, because then I've got a dead-end card there. So I would flip the top 3 cards of my deck, and I see I have a zombie. Now, if I flip a zombie, I'm going to look at the card underneath it and see if it's a survivor. It's not, so nothing happens. But if it were a survivor, both that zombie and the survivor would be removed from my stack. And I would be short a card now, which is going to hurt me later on. But since it's not a survivor under there, nothing happens. And I would flip my next 3 cards. And you'd see I'd get a 3. Well, maybe I move this 3 over here to start a new pile. And then I come up with a car. Now, cars are kind of a necessity for winning the game. When I have a car, I'm going to move that to the center of the table. Now note that each player is going to be doing this simultaneously, and they're going to be trying to do it as fast as they can. Once this car is moved to the center of the table, it's available for all players to play on. So now that this is in the center of the table, anyone who has a red 1 can place it on here. So for example, if I place this car and then I saw that I had this red 1, I could throw it on top of the car. Now this car is starting to fill with reds, and it's starting to fill with the cleaver suit, which means the next card to go on top of here has to be a red 2 of cleavers, and then the 3 of cleavers up through the 6. And once to the 6, it's going to be full. Now there are both red and blue cars. So you're going to have red and blue cars going out here. You're going to try and pay attention to what's coming out in your area as you're flipping more cards from your deck and trying to place them out to get more cards in stacks so that you can move them around. But not only that, but you're going to have to shift around your cards in front of you to try and get to the appropriate card of the right suit to place out onto the car. So maybe you have the 2 available, but it's buried under something else, and you have to move your cards around in your own stacks to get that 2 to place it out faster than anyone else. Now, as I said, there are a couple other different cards in here. We have the guns, and if a gun comes up, you can place it onto any one of your people to hold it. But now that person can't be placed on top of. What you can do is hold that gun, and when you want to, if a zombie comes up, you can shoot that zombie, discarding the gun from that character and the zombie from the game. The other thing you can do is, if you ever want to, and say you don't need to shoot a zombie, but you can discard this gun to take your stack that you've been flipping cards into and shuffle it back into your deck. And when you do that, obviously you renew your deck, you get the order changed up a little bit, and maybe get to a card that's been buried under other cards that you want to play. And of course, this would be removed from the game at that point. So basically, you're going to be trying to go as fast as possible to get cards out of your house, into your stacks, and then onto the center of the table by matching the suits of the cards that are being played by all of the players. And obviously, this is a very frantic race to do so. The first player to get all 10 of their cards out of here is going to say Zombie House Blitz. And at that point, the game is going to end. Or at least that round of the game will end. And you're going to go ahead and count and see how many cards you have left in your stack, which is going to be negative points. You're going to count how many cards you have in the center of the table, and you're going to count how many cards you have been killed, how many of your survivors were killed by zombies. And those are going to be negative points. So your total score will be the number of cards left in your house, the number of cards that you have killed, and then you're going to subtract that from the total number of cards you put in the center, and that will be your score for that round. You're going to play to 66 points, and whoever gets there first is going to be the winner. Now there's one more special rule that differs from solitaire as well, and that's with the 6 cards. If you happen to get a 6 card stuck on top of your house pile, you may choose to kill off Granny. Basically, you just throw her to the side. Maybe she's gotten troublesome. But when you do this, it gets the card off of the top of your escape pile. Maybe you're stuck in a tough spot and you're not able to get more cards out. You can throw her off to the side, which will be a negative point at the end of the round, but will allow you to flip up a new card from your house pile and hopefully accelerate the game a little bit more into your corner. Well, there you have it. That is Zombie House Blitz, a fast-paced solitaire variant for 2 to 4 players with a nice zombie theme. Everybody loves zombies, right? Now, the game is very fast-paced, and as I said, it is essentially a multiplayer solitaire. Not so much like you'd think in a Euro game where everybody's playing their own little game, but, you know, they're all trying to compete. But instead, everybody's playing the game solitaire quickly, and there's several people playing it, which makes it not really solitaire, but it still kind of is. Now, there are specialized cards that add to it. You've got the zombies that are going to eat your cards that you may need in order to stack your cards out, in order to get them to escape into the car cards that you're placing into the center of the area. So there's a lot going on, and you're trying to pay attention to your own stacks and maximize the amount of cards you have available to move to the center. You're trying to make sure you know what's being played out into the center so that you can, you know, focus on that and move your cards out there and score points. But you're also trying to protect your cards from being lost by having weapons available when you need them, trying to avoid the zombies if at all possible. And there's just lots of stuff going on. It's crazy, and it's hectic, and it's fun. So if that sounds good to you, you should check out Zombie House Blitz. I know they're looking for supporters on Kickstarter, and I'm sure they'd be glad to have you.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.